Alrighty, now that we are recording this meeting, uh, we'll have, welcome everybody. A quick recap, today's agenda, a little bit shorter, tighter than some of our past agendas, and we are very flexible and fluid with this agenda, recognizing that some speakers are not able to stay on for the entirety of the call. But overall, we just spend a little bit of time welcoming you into this space. We'll be talking a lot about Digital Inclusion Week today. We'll be talking about some general council business, some general committee updates, and then closing out with kind of just all the upcoming meeting dates and specifics of event dates for the remainder of the year, because this is our second to last council meeting for the year of our Lord 2020. So we have a lot going from here on out. So with that, I would like to introduce one of our chairs, Lashana Manigat, to give the kind of formal welcome here.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me opening up the meeting today. Again, my name is Lashana Manigault, and I am the chair of the Policy Advocacy and Ecosystem Committee. It is my pleasure to do the introduction for our Connect 313 Community Council meeting. Today is, again, Thursday, September 29th, and we meet on a bi-monthly basis around the same time. So please, if you have interested in joining, becoming a member, or joining one of our committees with Connect 313, please join Connect 313. Check out connect313.org for more information. Connect 313 is a citywide data-driven digital inclusion strategy that's working alongside several organizations. And Connect 313's goal is to make Detroit a national model for digital inclusion and ensure that all Detroiters can access the digital world and all the opportunity that it brings. This operation is made possible by the City of Detroit, United Way for Southeastern Michigan, Rocket Mortgage, and Microsoft. So our mission and our culture and values, we do have those, they're combined, right? Our mission is to stay community focused and allow this grassroots opportunity for the community to determine what digital inclusion looks like for themselves and to have an active level of participation in seeing some of those goals come to fruition. Our vision is equity, digital equity across the city for all residents and businesses across the city of Detroit, and those in our underserved neighborhoods. And our goal is trust. We lean on trust to ensure that we run a very transparent operation, a very transparent system of encouragement, of inclusion, of equity, and ensuring that we see out the goals that are set forth through this committee. The purpose of our council meetings are to develop the Connect 313 values and hold all recommendations to those values, to be the voice of the community, provide community sentiment, and delineate needs. We're also here to share the work of the committees and raise awareness of opportunities to participate either in a leadership role or through the nomination process as a committee member.
Thank you so much, Lashana. Thank you for kicking us off today. We really appreciate, always having chairs, be part of the voice of the community. It shouldn't just be me talking for the whole meeting. We really want to hear from all of the various committee members, whether in a leadership role or, somebody who's recently joined and just feels really passionate about the work. So we always invite folks to raise their hand and volunteer to kick off our various meetings or to present at one of our community conversations as a spotlight speaker. We love to present the work of individual organizations who are out there doing the actual digital inclusion work, including people in the digital world. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our old council business. So these are some recent approvals that have come through from what was presented at the past two, I believe, council meetings. So we do have some grants that have gone out. We have a grant to the Center for Success, who asked for some funding to assist them with kind of their internal IT services. as well as a donation of computers so that they can offer their youth-focused programming. Primarily, they're centered around literacy, but they do also offer digital literacy and STEM type of services to the kids that they are working with. Also youth-focused, we provided a grant to Cleary University to be able to offer their STEM camp to Detroit middle school students to really just kind of expose them to STEM concepts, get a little bit of hands-on experience using tools to be able to just get them excited about the opportunities in STEM. So that'll be 2 sessions of a 1-week-long camp that'll be provided to Detroit middle school students next summer. So they received that grant. And we did pass a vendor policy, which was approved by the Joint Assembly, which will, for 2023, require that Connect 313 contract, any contract over 50K, which is already kind of the limit for things to be approved by the board, would need to go through a competitive bidding process. So if we are hiring an institution to provide some kind of larger contract for us to host a major event or have like a year-long contract to be doing work with us, we would require that go through a competitive bidding process moving forward. So that is our recent approvals. And yes, perfect. And we have reorganized the agenda a little bit to make sure that we had plenty of time to talk about Digital Inclusion Week, which is literally next week, and it's huge and it's so exciting and we are thrilled about it. So I'm bringing LaShawna back on to talk through just so much great information about Digital Inclusion Week. So with that, I will mute myself yet again.
Thank you so much, Jordan. We are super excited about Digital Inclusion Week 2022 Detroit. Woo, woo. The time has come really fast, but I just want to, and I have my co-chair, Kalina, on the line as well. And I just want to thank all the committees for participating and in different ways in supporting Digital Inclusion Week this year. So we're really excited. This has really been a collaborative effort. Again, the week starts next week, Monday, October the 3rd, and runs all the way through the 7th. So we have a full 5 days of information and programming and leadership sprinkled throughout the week. Digital Inclusion Week would like to thank our sponsors for their support: Dell Technologies, Ally, Next Century Cities, Comcast, Verizon, and our host sponsors, Wayne State, and the FREC, Ford Resource and Engagement Center, also in-kind support from Rocket Community Fund and Body Armor. So I don't want to take too much of this thunder. I want to share the stage with my co-chair. So I will read this and then we'll kind of piggyback off of each other, if that's okay, Kalina. What is Digital Inclusion Week? Digital Inclusion Week is an annual week of awareness, celebration, recognition, and an engagement of all things digital inclusion focused. This national event provides a stage for stakeholders and practitioners who focus on efforts to bridge the digital divide, to share their progress, while also engaging members of the community who are being impacted by their efforts. So Digital Inclusion Week 22, this is our hashtag DIW22. We celebrate, we educate, we connect, and we activate. So go ahead, Kalina, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just going into the details for time's sake. Again, as Shauna stated, we're going to have it October the 3rd through the 7th. And here you see where those locations will be. We'll be hosting at Wayne State, FREC, just as she mentioned. And I'll let you go to the next slide, Jordan, as we get into the details. We have 5 days of engaging activities. Day 1, we're going to have leadership and policy. Day 2, we're going to, thanks to Naima, have the academic research symposium, which will be this year's theme of a decade of digital inclusion. Day 3, we're going to have a plethora of amazing speakers on the panels and different activities for networking and rapport, focusing on small businesses. Connected Communities is going to be on day 4. Same host of, but I'm not sure, it might be in the next slide. We can share some of who those surprise guests will be. And day 5 will be, we'll close out with The Future Is Now, leaving that fresh on everyone's minds and how we engage the youth in a meaningful way. And I'm not sure if Sandra Ware is on, but she has everything kind of there for us. But day 1, leadership and policy, is going to be at Wayne State. So this is going to be kickoff. And as you see here in the highlights, we actually have pretty much a bandwidth of keynote speakers, organizers, and panels to have a full day's worth of activities. Thanks, Jordan. Day 2 is also going to be at Wayne State and McGregor Conference Center. Day 2, again, thanks to Naima, it's going to be Academic Research Symposium, where we're highlighting the topics that you see here. It's going to be on Tuesday, October 4th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah, just pausing because I know that Naima is on the call. Naima, if you have any specifics that you want to share about day 2 specifically, as this is the very first year that Connect Through and 3, despite this being the 4th year that we have participated in hosting Digital Inclusion Week, this is the very first time that we have academic research presented live during Digital Inclusion Week. So I really want to hold space if there's anything that you would like to share specifically about all of the different topics that will be shared during the symposium.
Sure. Thank you for making some space for that. One, I just want to say it's a really incredible opportunity to be in the room with a lot of really, really smart and experienced change makers as it relates to the digital inclusion work that many of us are doing live and in person with Detroit residents. And so the message that I want you to walk away with when you're thinking about the research symposium is that it's for you too. It's not just for the people who have PhDs who kind of think in a room, quietly amongst themselves. No, this is really intentionally designed to be a very positive collision between researchers and practitioners. And so the full lineup with the titles and of every session and the timing of those sessions is on the website. And actually, as you were talking, I was just adding the link so that people could register, because we are asking that even if you plan to just kind of pop in and out of activities throughout Digital Inclusion Week, we are still asking that you register so that we can have an idea of our final numbers that we actually end up hosting. The topics really have a broad reaching and wide reaching range, covering topics, as you can see here. This is sort of a short list that's kind of quick and dirty, but covering everything from policy and how to sort of agitate things in favor of more equitable policy, all the way across the span of, participatory design. How do we design and create interventions that actually are with the people and not just for the people? And then also touching social segments like the impacts and the implications of the divide on social work, the impacts of the divide and inclusion in education, and more. And so I hope that you will try to make some space and time to be in at least one of the rooms where all this wonderful generative knowledge sharing is happening. Thank you so much, Jordan. And thanks for adding that link there, David.
Absolutely. We're just so excited that this is, the first time we'll be able to host an event like this, especially something so centered around digital inclusion.
Jordan, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
And I think the importance of this, maybe you might be thinking about, why do we need this? We have, a ton of expertise already, and we do throughout the week. But what's really important about the way big systems level change efforts work all across the globe is that the dollars and the investment, it follows the research. And so it's a really big, important component of the work we're doing in the ecosystem to connect our practice to the active and existing research that has been done. One, so that we can capitalize on that learning, right? Not recreate the wheel. Let's kind of see what's written and what's already been done. And two, let's discover future opportunities for learning and research collaboration that will catalyze our work going forward and attract new investment. And so that's the why that you might not be really thinking about, but it is a very important component and one of the legs that our stool stands on. So I hope that you will help publish and share the word about this, share it with your networks. It is free. Most academic conferences come with a hefty price tag. And so to be able to walk in the room and get this level of validated and trusted information is sort of unheard of. And so I take advantage of it if I could, even if it was just for a little while. And sessions for the symposium this year, unfortunately, will not be streamed. So you have to register and be there to realize some of that good stuff that's going to be shared. Thank you.
Thank you, Naima. And just following up on that, if there's anything you want to share about the award ceremony also.
So go ahead. I'll jump in there. So at the end of day 2, there will be an awards and reception ceremony that will also be taking place at the Wayne State McGregor Conference Center. That event will take place directly after the closure of the academia conference from 5 to 7. We'll be celebrating Digital Inclusion Week together with an awards ceremony, live music, and delicious hors d'oeuvres and snacks. The categories our youth advocate, digital inclusion nonprofit, small business hero, and digital inclusion advocate. And it's just our way of recognizing and awarding those folks that are doing the work, boots on the ground, creating an impact in the digital inclusion space and really paving the way, because we know a lot of these initiatives are new in the digital inclusion space. And we got some great folks doing some great things out there and paving the way, to be have a more inclusive effort to support the residents of the city of Detroit.
Fantastic. Just throwing out that there will be snacks throughout this whole event. So we definitely want people to come and eat the food that we have procured. So please attend in person for all of these things.
Please come and attend in person. Day 3 is a focus on small business. This is where the event shifts from Wayne State to the Ford Resource and Engagement Center. That's on the east side at 15491 Madeline in Detroit. So again, the focus, the last 3 days will be on, at the FREC, but Wednesday kicks that off. So Wednesday, October the 5th from 10 to 4. We're going to have talks, workshops, hands-on learning experiences, one-on-one consultations with community tech workers, help folks develop a keen understanding of how the digital world provides an abundance of resources and opportunities to help them run and scale their businesses. The highlights and topics will be a presentation from Venture 313, which we know is a Gilbert Family Foundation initiative that's being launched. We're going to have sessions and workshops, it says, from Tech Town Detroit. What this actually is, there's a collaborative effort between the NEI, New Economy Initiative, and Invest Detroit. They convene a work table of over 50 business service organizations. These business service organizations have come together in a committee, and this committee is going to talk about the community tech workers. Jefferson East is going to be there. U of M will be represented there. Tech Town will be represented there. Build Institute, DEGC, among others, to have a panel conversation about tools and resources their committee has created in order to help bridge the digital divide and bring digital resources to small businesses. Again, there will be one-on-one small business checkups and consultations, and we'll be launching a tool that came out of our digital divide committee, which is the DIY Small Business Resource Guide. So we're really excited about the day. Kalina?
All right, on to day 4, Connected Communities. And I'm a little biased with this one because this one will have a panel discussion in which myself and JR will be involved in discussing non-traditional pathways. Also, you see here the other highlighted topics. And again, the last 3 days will be at the FREC. And I just wanted to echo some sentiments brought forth from Shauna and Naima. about the location change. We put a lot of thought into understanding that we don't want any of this work. Digital tech can sometimes go over our community members' heads, and they may not feel included, or they may feel as though it's not very tangible and it's not applicable and relevant to where they are. So to Naima's point, this is inclusive, this included, it matters. It should mean something to everyone. So the way that we presented a lot of these topics is in a way that anyone can understand, even down to the Youth Day. So she plugged in some reminders that I will reiterate to please share this on your social media and with your networks. And as well as if you would like to volunteer on these days, there will be things that will come up unexpected. We are expecting double the turnout what we did last year due to COVID still being, very restrictive. Now we have a new way of life, and we expect to see more in-person attendance. But all of what you see here was designed for community members at large to understand, even on a small scale. Anything you want to add, Shauna?
No, absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. That was great.
And to close out, we're going to have The Future Is Now, engaging youth in a meaningful way. And if you were a part of this initiative last year, you understand all the value that Sandra Weir brings, and that's how we'll close out the day. So we have game changer panel discussions, coding sessions and activities, hands-on things in order to involve the community's youth and your personal youth that you might want to bring as well. There's going to be a DJ and a hype squad and so much more. We won't let all of the cat out the bag. But again, if you would like to volunteer, please send us an email this way. I wanted to add one other thing regarding the location, but it escapes me right now. But
I can jump in there because I just want to make sure we emphasize that. So this is a correlation between the Freck and Fisher Magnet Elementary and Middle Schools, which are on the campus of the Ford Resource Engagement Center. So this event is not open to the public. We will be engaging the elementary and the middle school that are there on that site for these events. So this is not open to the public. So, due to timing, we weren't able to offer as robust as a program across the city as we would have liked to. So we've narrowed it down to a couple of schools to make sense. But again, this is the day to provide and attract STEM information and education to the kids of that school, offering IT careers and digital, and highlighting the world's many digital opportunities and covering all the different topics you see mentioned here. So again, if you're looking forward to volunteering, please let us know. We could definitely use the help, but this will be a closed event, and that school is already engaged and activated.
And I think we kind of touched on how to get involved. We've each asked to, again, share on your social media. Please register. To Naima's point, they would like the receipts on how many we're hosting to help us get better at how we do this next year for year 5. And I think it's especially important this year, as in-person will look different than it did last year when most people joined virtually. So please reach out to us if you would like to volunteer. And then feedback. We, of course, are welcoming feedback. And I think this is a special time for that. Not only is this in alignment with this National Digital Inclusion Week, this also comes on the brink of the following week will be Michigan Tech Week. And so it's just a special time in Detroit right now. I'm a legacy Detroiter, so I don't believe in the new Detroit. I just think that we are brushing off some dust of things that have come to the surface. And to Naima's point about the research and the dollars and how it's influencing the ecosystem, all of the talks that are being held right now with all of the newcomers that are coming into this Now Tech Hub. There are companies coming from San Fran, Boston, Silicon Valley, you name it. Detroit has the real estate. They're coming here, but instead of inviting us to a table that we built as Detroiters, we get to showcase during Digital Inclusion Week and Michigan Tech Week how we built the table, and we're actually inviting you all to come and join us. So, and that doesn't escape any community and any community member, inclusive of the youth. So this is our opportunity to kind of showcase everything that we're bringing to the table. And if you would like to be a part of it, please look at the slide to let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you both, Lashana. I know that you are not able to stay for the entire meeting. So if there are questions for Lashana, we absolutely can pass those along after this call. Lashana, thank you so much for opening today's call and running through so much of that presentation. We did want to pause for a moment just to see if there were any questions that folks had live on today's call. Again, feel free to drop them in the chat. We can always connect you to folks afterwards. You can always email us directly at info@connect313.org. If you have questions, concerns, you're interested in volunteering and you don't know where to sign up, or you just have general questions about the event, like where do I park, where do I go? A lot of that is already on our website, but we really want to make sure that we are as accessible to all of you as possible. And make it super, super clear, make it super easy, because we really want you to enjoy this event and not be stressed about any kind of last minute questions. So again, feel free to reach out to us. We can always connect you. Pausing for just a moment to see if there are any raised hands or anything in the chat. I don't think so. Oh, Amanda Page has a raised hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I was just wondering, I'm Amanda from Bailey Park Neighborhood Development Corporation. Just sort of thinking about the accessibility of transportation. Have you guys thought about reaching out to Eastside Community Network? They have vans that might be available to sort of be able to transport people who might otherwise have difficulty attending in person.
That is a great suggestion.
And thank you. We will definitely follow up with that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we can definitely make that connection. Eastside Community Network is another one of our community ambassador host sites. So definitely able to make that connection. Kalina, I will send an e-intro. Is someone on the call from Eastside Community Network? Not sure. Oh, Phyllis, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just wanted to know which one of the session would be more advantageous for seniors.
Connected communities.
Okay, because then I would think that maybe some of the aging services organizations like PACE, those who have transportation hand, and maybe able to get some of their folks there as well.
Great point. Thank you, Phyllis.
Great suggestion. And Kalina, we will make those connects for you there as well.
You can also reach out to Detroit Area Agency on Aging. I don't know if anyone from there is on the call, but sometimes they might have funding where they could get a bus load, folks can meet at their office and the bus will bring them there and bring them back.
That's good to know. Even if they want outside of connected communities, if they're interested in any of the days, I think that's something that we have enough time to get ahead of to ensure that they get there and have an opportunity to be a part of all of it as well.
Okay, I just know they focus on seniors, so just making sure.
Thank
and that's
you.
my heart throb, because I'm a senior, so.
Yes. Sometimes, Phyllis.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Those are absolutely fantastic suggestions. And, we'll see what can be accomplished in the, couple of remaining days. But if we're looking at Thursday, we got a week, we can figure something out. We can make something happen. We absolutely want to see people attend this event. So anything that we can do to help people physically get there, great. Especially any partners that we can lean on. David, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kalina, if you want to just loop me in. So when that connection is made, I can have PR push it out through socials.
Thank you, David.
Look at that. Look, it all comes together. Fantastic. And with that, we move on to the next part of our slightly rearranged agenda. So now we have an opportunity to talk a little bit about some kind of general council business, get some updates from committees, starting with, we wanted to do a quick recap of some of the goals and feedback that we received through the annual review last year before we talk about the annual review this year, because it's really vital that folks participate in the annual review, because that is what that feedback is literally how we create our goals and our kind of trajectory for the year. So as we move towards that annual review season for this year, I wanted to spend just a few minutes kind of recapping what we learned last year and how that resulted in the goals that you see before you. So, you know, at the end of last year, we conducted our annual review, which ran from basically the month of November. And then we presented some of those early findings at the end of last year and at the beginning of this year as we were forming our committees. So, you know, we really heard about a lot about storytelling, about social touch points and community engagement, about kind of creating more targeted interventions through our suggestion and recommendation process, and just, you know, improving some of our standard operating procedures, making information more accessible, all of those great things. So these goals are have direct correlation to the themes from the 2021 annual review results. We had kind of 4 main areas that we heard from folks about, which was communication, accessibility, community engagement, and the process by which ideas are kind of formed into recommendations, and then what happens with recommendations. So just kind of quickly touching on those 4 theme areas, you know, we heard a lot about communication, that there were really great kind of opportunities that we were able to jump on, like the emergency broadband benefit, which was a federal benefit that came out of the COVID relief packages and is now the Affordable Connectivity Plan, which we are still promoting through Connect 3 and 3. We still have a call center. You can still call to get signed up for that internet subsidy, and we continue to promote that. But we did have kind of a massive lift when the emergency broadband benefit was first released. And we saw the results of that, you know, through all of the paid and in-kind media that we were able to do with the emergency broadband benefit. We got a lot of calls into the call center as a result of that kind of initial communication push. And so we heard from folks that, you know, doing that kind of regular communication to community members is really important. And some of the action items we heard from there were to develop kind of an overall communication strategy, creating more opportunities for storytelling, you know, rather than just relying on like grant reports and that kind of thing, and developing a template for a really regular, consistent online newsletter and regular, consistent social media presence. We definitely heard about accessibility, about, you know, more clarity, more access to key information, more accessibility just in the way that we are approaching some of this work. So we definitely heard from folks about those things, about, you know, some of the confusion that they were facing and like, where do I look for this information? We heard a lot. We heard a lot about community engagement and really about how we can more effectively use the folks who are already plugged into Connect 3 and 3 and aware of the digital divide to volunteer and really participate in closing the digital divide on the ground, and to engage with community members more, and not just corporations who are, you know, interested in this, but maybe that's not the core of their work. So creating more meaningful opportunities for folks to engage with Connect 3 and 3 who maybe have never heard of it before, and creating more opportunities for folks to just ask questions about what's going on, holding more space in our meetings for, you know, just responding to people, having, you know, discussions like the one you just saw, you know, where folks were asking, well, hey, have you thought about transportation? That is a perfect example of the kind of engagement that we really want to encourage in all of our meetings moving forward. And then the final theme was really around the ideas and recommendations. You know, if people felt like submitting a suggestion was easy, but then it kind of just like goes into this nebulous other world, and they just didn't really understand what was happening there. So creating an implementation roadmap so that folks were really clear about, you know, what is going on. So bundling all of those kind of key takeaways together from last year, just so that there's a really clear through line between what we heard from folks and then those 4 goals that I just shared, We definitely heard a lot about developing a communication strategy, creating more opportunities for storytelling, utilizing regular, consistent mechanisms to share messages about the work of Connect Through and 3, being more accessible, creating a handbook so that folks know where to look for information, creating more meaningful opportunities, like more opportunities and more meaningful opportunities to engage directly with Connect Through and 3, holding more space for folks to ask questions, and providing more of a roadmap to guide committees through the process of handling those incoming ideas. As a result, we want to share what we have done thus far this year to really address what we heard in the 2021 annual review, so that you can see just how important that feedback is. Many of these steps that we have taken to address those goals are a direct result of what we heard from the annual review. We hired a PR consultant who built out a full year-long marketing strategy and has vastly improved our storytelling capacity. That includes regular blog posts, which many of you as chairs have participated in, and had a spotlight blog post about your story and why you are so invested in bridging the digital divide. We have much more consistent social media engagement, which is lovely. It looks so professional and nice. We have a standardized newsletter template. It goes out every month like clockwork. We have a lot more information that's readily at people's fingertips. We have more just kind of overall PR. Josh has appeared in more media appearances. There's more kind of news coming out about Connect Through and 3, especially around Digital Inclusion Week. There's been kind of a flurry of attention paid to everything that we're doing here, which is really, really exciting. We created a handbook. That was one of the things that folks were asking for, and we made it much easier for committee members to kind of access that information through their dedicated team site where their handbook lives. We created a hybrid meeting policy to provide better access to all of the meetings that we already have to community members, and we've piloted it. We're really looking at engaging partners throughout the year of 2023, to make sure that every single one of our community conversations are hybrid moving forward. And as you can tell from today's presentation, we have expanded access to Digital Inclusion Week and made it a really kind of cohesive experience for folks to really be able to engage directly live in person this year, as well as some live stream access to certain events. We have really activated our community ambassadors. Like this year, the thing that we heard over and over and over in the annual review was to incorporate more community-facing events, more community-facing touch points. So we have really activated our community ambassador network to host more of those community meetings, to provide a place where people can go to ask those in-person questions, or to meet with a community ambassador to address access to some of the services that we're providing to get help enrolling and registering for the Affordable Connectivity Plan, to learn more about the various summer camps and youth-focused programming that we are sponsoring through Connect Through and 3. We're really much more active in the community as a result of having the 7 community ambassador host sites. And we are so appreciative to those organizations for hosting a community ambassador and making your space available and open to the public in this way. And we are just really excited to continue to grow the community ambassador program, especially as we shift away from the language of ambassador and towards the language of community organizing, which I know there's a slide in here somewhere about the community organizing manager RFP, which closes tomorrow. And we are really, really excited to have someone really kind of take the reins of that community organizing program and continue to build it out and be even more community engagement focused. We also implemented a design thinking approach for addressing all of the different suggested ideas and translating them into actionable recommendations. Again, we heard so much in the annual review about making that process more streamlined and really helping the committees to understand, how do they take sometimes very vague suggestions received from the community and turn them into something that Connect 3 can actually do. And thank you so much to Dr. Naima Wade for really building out the design thinking framework, which we continue to tweak and iterate. But we really feel strongly that the design thinking approach has improved the way that recommendations are formed. And, addressing one of the specifics from the annual review, we did create a step-by-step guide for that suggestion to recommendation process so that the public can kind of understand what happens when a suggestion is made. And that can all be found on Connect 3's website on the suggestion page. Yes, in collaboration with our subject matter expert, Q-Misha Goss. I'm not sure if Q is on the call right now, but thank you to, all of our management leads have done a fantastic job this year. And we really just want to shout out, all of this work that has gone in based on, again, what you said that you wanted to see in the annual review. So I'm just going to pause for a moment, take a breath. I know I've been talking quite quickly. See if there are any questions or anything in the chat. All right. Now, I believe we have Taquan and Rhonda on the call today to just share out a little bit more about how the annual review will roll out this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan, for setting the backdrop for why it's so important to get this annual review done. So if you just listen to all the things that Jordan said and you're like, but we still need this and we could still do that and that's not enough. Well, now is your time to shine because we are starting this process again very soon. Again, the purpose of the annual review is to not only hear from you and to give you an opportunity to share your feedback, but also if you have recommendations, suggestions on partnerships, direction, tools that we could be using to really increase and magnify our impact, not just for our committee members, but for the community. This is your time to shine. So it is definitely an opportunity for you to share your voice to help bridge the digital divide for all Detroiters. Our annual review is a survey format, so it's done electronically. It will open on October 17th, so just a couple of weeks away. And we'll give you about a month to really provide some reflective responses. So the Structure and Operations Committee has reviewed the questions that we asked last year and the format that we're using just to see, is this an opportunity for us to make some changes? And we've made some suggestions on questions that we can ask that will really tease out some learning objectives and some strategic goals that we have as an organization. But for the most part, the survey should not take you long to complete. We will be reviewing the highlights of the survey responses at our last community conversation of the year. So December 8th at 2:00, we will have had sufficient time, if everyone gets your responses in by November 18th, to compile all that in a meaningful way and present that out. So definitely, if you are on this call, if you have colleagues that are not on this call that are involved in Connect 313, if you have constituents, program participants, whoever is looped in with you that is doing work, living, or learning in the city of Detroit, we need their perspectives with this annual review. So again, the survey opens on the 17th and it closes on the 18th. And I believe the survey will be sent out. It should also be available on the website. Maybe I'm looking at Jordan's faces as I'm making up stuff. She didn't tell me this, but if it's not going to be on the website, it needs to be. So
it'll be everywhere.
Okay, it'll be everywhere. So make sure that you do that for Connect 313. Next slide. On the screen is the process. Rhonda, I know that you are also on the call. If you want to talk through this, I'm looking at the unmute. So if you want to provide the overview of the process, feel free to pop in here. I'll give you 3 seconds to make a decision. Looks like you made a decision.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rhonda Askew. I am the co-chair of the Structure and Operation Committee. Thank you all for attending. This here is the Connect 313 election policy for 2022. Nominations are in November, early November. Elections will run till the end of December. Nomination form will be sent out early November. Nominations are in November. Send your no nominations. The nominations form, complete that. The elections will run to the end of December. January 23rd, announcements will be presented in January. Vote, vote, vote. Are there any questions for me?
Yeah, no, just want to
Thank you
chime
so
in and
much.
say, yes, thank you, Rhonda, that we will be utilizing the same platform as last year, Election Buddy. So you will receive a voter key and be making all of your selections through that system. And we really are excited about the nomination process. You know, we're doing a little bit of an overhaul on some of the questions that you will receive if you're interested in nominating yourself or anyone else in your life who you think would be a really good committee leader. We are really looking for folks who have, you know, potentially some experience leading committees, doing work like this in other areas of their work. We would love to see people nominating themselves who are already on some of our committees. Taquan, I see your hand is raised. We just really want to reiterate that we are making this process as streamlined as possible.
Yeah, and just to close up out this piece, I just wanted to add that again, Structure and Operations met earlier this month to really look at not only our annual review process, but start to talk about our election process to make sure that we're incorporating lessons learned from our past 1 or 2 elections to make sure that going forward we have the best sets of leadership and people leading the work of Connect 313, people that are engaged, that understand what's being asked of them and are ready to contribute. So we've received some feedback from other members of Connect 313 committee chairs in regards to just the process and making suggestions to that. I just want you to know that we did hear you. We have discussed those. We have implemented some modifications and suggestions based on that. And we're really looking forward to a smoother election process for this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Taquan. And with that, I move into the final phase of our meeting today. We're pretty much on time with the agenda that I presented at the beginning. Very exciting. We do have, here's where I need that link here somewhere. And David will drop this also in the chat. Just a reminder that the community organizing manager posting for that contract will close tomorrow at 5 p.m. So we are looking for any, last submissions there for that opportunity. And we are really excited about kind of continuing to build and grow from the kind of original community ambassador model into more of this community organizing framework that we are moving towards. I also wanted to make a little bit of space on today's call for an open call for any community updates. Are there any events taking place at any of your organizations that you want to share? Are there any opportunities for relevant jobs or anything, new programs that are launching that registration opens for? I will pause for a moment and just see if anybody has their hand raised. Oh, that's supposed to say 30th, not 3rd. Thank you for that catch, David Underwood. If there are any upcoming community events. Taquan, I see your hand raised.
Sorry, I was trying to hurry up. I did not expect this open call, and I always got stuff going on. So, but I did want to announce that the Black Executive Directors of Detroit, BDAD, they are having their executive summit next Friday. It will be all day at Wayne County Community College's Northwest Campus. If you are an executive director or leader of a nonprofit and you identify as Black, you are definitely encouraged to attend. I will be presenting as a a technical assistance provider, hosting a workshop, but it'll be a full day of other people. So if you're sick of my voice, still come and just go to some of the other sessions. But definitely wanted to offer that as a resource to anyone that is leading a nonprofit.
Fantastic. If you have a link or anything that you want to drop in the chat, we'll definitely make sure that's shared out after the meeting. I see another raised hand. Looks like Mr. Underwood. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to give an update on the charging stations proposal that was put in and has been brought before this council, as well as presented before to the Joint Assembly. There were a number of questions and concerns brought forth in regards to that plan. That is the reason why I did not go to vote. I can give you an update on that plan. There is a lot of moving parts in this particular suggestion, simply because there's a whole thought about when purchases are made of a tangible item, who owns that item when it's purchased with funds, if you will, from Connect 313, because Connect 313 does not have the structure to be responsible and to take responsibility for tangible items that are purchased and placed within the community. And so that was one of the questions raised. There was another question raised in regards to the locations of the two benches that we had proposed to purchase. Where would they be located? So the update is we have worked with Detroit Rescue Missions Ministry, who has been very—
Excuse me, David, I'm sorry to jump in, but I don't want to sort of derail and not give the opportunity for the community to share their event updates. I know there was a document that was sent out to try to collect the data that you're sharing right now on the status of that. Can you take a look at that, and can you write everything up so we can all have it to reflect and respond to? Because we figured that there was a lot of moving parts and that there were many, many things that need to be hashed out for that suggestion, and we haven't lost sight of it. But because we didn't have it in time for have the responses written up in time for today's meeting, we didn't add it to the agenda as a suggestion discussion. And I'm not sure we have time to hash it out with the remaining time that we have left.
Okay, so what out of that, what is the answer?
There should be a couple emails in your inbox that provided like a list of questions that we were asking to try to have prepped ahead of this meeting. If you don't have it, then we can, I can either stay on with you and Jordan and I can help you track that down.
I'm sure I have the email. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I know that some other folks probably have some community events that they want to share, and we wanted to make sure they had the floor to do that in this time.
Okay, so what, you want me to stop talking, or what is the thought?
Well, I was just going to ask that, you know, if you have a specific ask, maybe we could try to address that here. But I know that Jordan was asking for community updates and not necessarily suggestion updates. So I don't know how much time we have left to weigh in on.
Okay, I was confused when she said updates from the chairs. I thought she wanted to have updates from what we were doing. Okay, no problem. I won't continue this. I'll bring forth what you're asking. I'll answer the questions and you can submit it out to the folks in writing.
We really appreciate that. Yes, we are really looking for community updates about like events and things that are happening that folks could register for, or programmatic things that folks could register for at this time. because we are trying to, close this meeting out in a couple of minutes. But I do appreciate that kind of general update, just to know that your committee is continuing to work on this, and we can collect the specifics of that through that document that Naima lifted up. Phyllis, I see your hand is also raised.
Yeah, I just want to announce that on Friday, September the 30th, which is this Friday, that along with Bridging Communities and our other community partners, Crowell, Kimini, St. Patrick's Senior Center, Hannon, Lissette, Williams Recreation, NSO, we're having our final Strides for Senior event. It's from 10 to 1 at Palmer Park. It includes food, music, dancing, health checkups, and a 1 to 3 mile walk if you're interested. We have vendors and wellness experts that will be there as well. So that's a great thing if you want to come out and enjoy the final few days of summer. Also, just to mention that along with some of my other community partners, we have installed charging stations, solar Wi-Fi charging stations at Rouge Park, as well as Stein Park, and looking to do some more installations within the next couple months, trying to keep people connected. So come out on the 30th at Palmer Park from 10 to 1 and enjoy the sunshine.
Fantastic. Palmer Park, 10 to 1. Love to hear it. Maybe you should connect with David about the wireless charging stations that you literally have already installed. Love to hear it.
Yeah, will do. I'll call you back, Jordan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And with that, we're just going to recap some of these dates real quick, because I do want to let you guys go. We're really trying to keep these at an hour whenever possible. I know they are scheduled for 90 minutes, but we recognize that most folks, that's a big ask. So council feedback for the next council meeting, which will be November 10th. We are really requesting that folks really get anything that they want to bring into a council meeting to me 1 week in advance, ideally more than 1 week in advance, but that's the deadline to incorporate things into the council agenda. The final joint assembly meeting of the year will be December 1st. And anything presented at that November 10th council meeting won't be presented to the board until early 2023. So just wanted to highlight some of those things for you, because the final board meeting of the year is the November 15th, so we wouldn't have time. Just again, reminder, there's only one council meeting left of the year, and that will really be focused on the nominations for the committee chairs. They will have already opened at that point, but we really want to spend some time during that meeting going through that whole nomination process, answering any questions that folks might have at that point, letting nominees start to introduce themselves. So we definitely are happy to incorporate recommendations into the November 10th agenda, but just want to highlight for folks that the kind of primary purpose of that meeting will be around nominations. We do have 2 community conversations for the remainder of this year. The October 7th one, we will be definitely talking a lot about the annual review at that point, because that will be open at that point. And on the December 8th one, we will also be talking about the annual review. You'll be getting kind of the highlights of the results of that survey. That will also be the launch of the election. So we will be definitely talking a lot about the election at that point, and giving all of the nominees an opportunity to introduce themselves during that December 8th meeting. So definitely mark your calendars. We not only want to see all of you on there to hear from the nominees, but I hope that some of you will be nominees. So we really want to see you at that meeting. We just have these 3 kind of decision-making points left for the remainder of the year. We have an October 13th joint assembly meeting. We have the December 1st joint assembly meeting, and we have the board meeting November 15th. So today was the kind of deadline to incorporate any new recommendations into the board packet. Since we didn't have any recommendations to review today, we'll just be kind of giving them an opportunity to actually vote on the ones they received at the last board meeting. And for the joint assembly, this was also the deadline for the October 13th joint assembly meeting, but any further recommendations that we receive, we will have that opportunity on December 1st to present them to the joint assembly. And with that, thank you so much, everybody, for participating, especially the folks who stayed on to this point. We really appreciate your participation. We hope that you will visit us at connect3and3.org, and also in person at Digital Inclusion Week. You will see so many of our smiling faces live during that event. And if you have any questions, you can reach out at info@connect3and3.org or follow us on social media. We have a pretty active Instagram now. We're pretty active on Facebook, and you can also find us on Twitter. We are Connect3and3 at basically all the socials. So we really look forward to seeing you there. And also David has put his direct email address in the chat as well. If you have any questions, concerns, emotional outbursts, now is your chance to reach out to us. And with that, I will do as I always do and stop the recording and see if anybody has any other questions.